Okay, we're live. Let me just, hold on, it's still loading. You never know when you're actually live.
Let's say now streaming live on Facebook.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Happy Friday. And welcome to our Radical Soul Living live show. Every month, we host an incredible speaker, a guest speaker of ours. And today we've got Dawn Apuan. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you, Dawn, because you have an interesting story. Thank you for being with us. It's 5 a.m. on Dawn's side, so she might be a little bit frazzled in the brain, but I think it might be a good thing, right? So thank you so much. Welcome to our show. And I'm just going to quickly introduce you officially, and then we can dive into what you're here to share with us. So Dawn Apuan is an expert copywriter and funnel strategist, former pastor, how you say in America, and nonprofit executive director. Her mission now is to help female entrepreneurs sell out even their most expensive offers with messaging that brilliantly captures their voice to attract dream clients without costing them time and energy creating it. Wow. So it's pretty clear, obviously, what you do. So I would love to, if you could share your story with our audience, like you went from pastor to being an expert magician with words for people. What happened? How did it happen? And, share the magic with us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you again for having me. And I love getting to share my story. I actually published a book sharing my story just a couple months ago. It's called I Retired Him,
Wow.
Which is the story of how I built my business and how I was able to eventually retire my husband and have him home to support me and the kids as a result of growing my business. And like you said, I have not always been doing this. We pastored a church together, my husband and I. He pastored for almost 25 years and me for almost 7. Wow. So a good portion of our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah. For him, for sure. Like he left home shortly out of high school to go into seminary, and then, was always pastoring. And I did a lot of other things in between high school and when I went to seminary and then when we got married. But, it was good at first, and there's certainly, you talk about maybe like a call of service, right? This, it's almost this romantic idea of, kind of serving in the trenches. We did a lot with the poor. We had housing programs, hot meal programs, cold weather shelters. We were doing 80,000 services a year. Wow. With a staff of 3 plus.
Wow. That's huge.
It was a lot.
Yes. Wow.
And, it's tough too. It was tough working with that portion of the population. And there's a bit of trauma, I think, from just your life getting threatened or, things that you don't necessarily think about when you're doing good and you're helping other people. But it's such a, mental health is such a big problem within that community. It's just really tough. It's very complicated, but so that's what we did. And then I had my daughter, and that kind of changed everything.
It usually does.
Yes. For all the moms out there,
yes.
It changes your life. And I went from being this, like 100% gung-ho executive director to I just want to be home with my daughter. And at first, she came to the church with me, or I did work from home. Like it was very flexible and fluid. And I didn't necessarily miss a beat with the role that I was as a pastor and becoming a new mom. And then a year after she was born, we had a review with our, it's like the regional leadership. And they told us that we were failing because our church wasn't big enough on Sunday mornings. And it was was a little bit of a gut punch.
Yeah.
Especially because I felt like I was doing pretty well, having
Doing so
a
much
1-year-old
and making such an impact. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, we had so many programs, and yeah, we were doing a lot. And I had a 1-year-old with me, and so I was doing it all still. Um, and what resulted from their belief that we were failing was a couple of months later, they moved the family and they changed our job positions. They demoted us, put us like underneath another married couple in different jobs. And like I said, we had to move, and then they wanted to force me to put my daughter in childcare, and I wasn't ready for it. And emotionally, I took like a huge dive. I got really depressed. I was having panic attacks trying to find childcare for her, and
wow.
just really unwell. Like my husband would sneak away at his lunch hour and check on me, like to make sure that I was safe. And he was worried about me taking my life. And it was a very, very dark time. We went back to that same leadership because he didn't know what to do. My husband was like very concerned for me. He didn't know what else to do. We met with them, and they laughed at me and said that parents don't stay home with their kids anymore. And then they said, what would you possibly do if you didn't work for us? Yeah, it was a rough moment.
It was what you needed, right?
But it was what I needed. Exactly. And I'm so grateful now looking back. I'm like, I would have never gotten out. I would never have gone on the personal growth journey that I have. Like, I'm happier than I've ever been my whole life.
Oh my God, I got goosebumps.
Yeah, it's just been an amazing journey, but like I needed that dark moment. I often refer to it as my Incredible Hulk moment. Like I woke up inside and I was like, oh no, you just messed with the wrong mama bear.
Yeah.
So from that point on, I was very resolved, not necessarily publicly. Nobody really knew what was going on. But I had resolved in my heart that I would figure out what I would do. And I think I knew deep down that I wasn't a failure. I just didn't know what was next. The other layer of our situation was that when you go into the ministry with that organization, you pretty much commit to life. You live in a fully furnished home. They provided 2 cars for my husband and I. They provided laptops, phones. They paid all the bills except for, like food and clothes. They paid the utilities for the house. They paid the insurance for the cars. They paid our taxes because we were self-employed clergy, and our taxes alone were like 9 months of our wages. So we would get like a cash allowance every month for food and clothes, and if we wanted to go on a trip or something. And then everything else was considered a non-cash benefit because all those other things in our life was taken care of, which is really awesome and feels very, secure until it's not. And you have to figure out a way to get out, and we were making about $2,500 a month combined for working full time, which
so it wasn't that much.
No, because they considered all of our non-cash benefits as, like money that they paid us, right? So, it wasn't like we never felt poor, but to get out of that, just to get into a house, we actually had 4 kids. We had 1 together, and then he has 3 kids from a previous marriage. So there were 6 of us. To get a house was like almost $6,000 just to get in the first month.
Wow.
And so you think about like
the change that you made was well, actually, you haven't spoken about that yet. Like what they told you that you weren't good enough, basically, and you internally made a decision to not live under anybody else's terms anymore. And there's like a deep unknown trust that it was going to work out. You didn't know how, but it was going to work out. So Yeah. And you risked a lot, like losing a lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
we basically started our life over.
Yes.
And it didn't happen right away.
Yeah.
I wish that I'd been able to, like start my business and make
Yes.
$1 million and,
Yeah.
just leave. But it took about 1.5 years actually before we were able to resign. And once that happened, everything fell into place in 2 weeks. So
Wow.
literally, like, we got jobs, and both of us got offered jobs at a nonprofit, with me working primarily from home, so I could raise my daughter. We got offered the jobs Tuesday night. Wednesday, we signed the lease, and Thursday, we gave our 2 weeks notice.
Wow.
And then we moved, all 6 of us, in 2 weeks, and bought cars. And like, we literally rebuilt pretty much our entire life. And that included, like, our house was fully furnished, so we had to get towels and cutlery and plates. And I mean, we had to get everything.
It's like newlyweds. Yeah.
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 Yeah, pretty much. In 2 weeks. And we worked. We didn't take any days off. So
but it's like you had a new lease on life. And yeah, it was, everything had to be new, like completely new.
Yeah.
So powerful. Yeah.
By that point, I think we were just so desperate for something else that, you just like muster the energy to just keep going, right? Knowing that it's going to get better. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. So yeah, that was how we got out. It was not how I imagined, right? Like, we ended up, like I said, getting jobs with a nonprofit, both of us at the same one. And that was the bridge for me. I was at that point, taking online courses in digital marketing, and I was doing affiliate marketing, and I had made some money, but not enough to live on, for sure. And I hadn't found copywriting yet at that point. I was still like, what am I going to do? Good thing for me, like affiliate marketing. Yeah, you can make some money. A lot of people make a lot of money with it. That's where you sell somebody else's product and you get a commission, like 30%. It just didn't have soul or mission for me.
Yes.
And I think I still had that. I often joke and say, you can take the girl out of pastoring, but you can't take the pastor out of the girl.
Yeah. You wanted to feel like you were serving from a deeper place. Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
So after we made that transition and at least got out of the unhealthy situation that we'd been in, I started looking at other options. I created some digital products, like a recipe book and meal plan. And I created a little mini, like 30-day course for, it was mainly for moms, but so yeah, I just like dabbled around, right? A lot of entrepreneurs, I think, experience that. They're like, well, what am I really meant to do, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then I was on this call, and it was with a copywriter. It was one of the courses that I was in, and she was talking about making 6 figures just writing website copy. And I was like, I could get paid to write? I love this. And I had been helping, people in the affiliate marketing space. I was in a community, and people would ask me all the time for help. Like, they're like, why are your Facebook ads converting so well? Like, can you help me with mine? And so I would help with copy. I didn't know what it was at the time. It was just like, I'm a storyteller. I had to write sermons and things. So the writing came naturally. I mean, obviously there's a little bit of a different skill for writing copy. And once I had that conversation, and I was like out of my mouth popped, oh, I wish I knew that I could be a copywriter. I was like, it's not too late. Why not start now? And so then I threw myself really into the skill set of copywriting. And, when you find your passion, and I'm sure you're familiar with this too, it's like something lights up, you get in alignment, and then the money just flows from there too. Like, I had made $2,800 in 8 months from like building funnels for people, loading emails. Like I would do copy audits of Facebook ads, or, $100 here, $200 there. Like I was really scrounging, right?
Yes, yeah.
To make anything. And then it was September 6th that I was like, okay, I'm going to go all in on this copy thing and see, like,
I like how you remember the date of your decision.
oh yes, it was a very important day. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, right? So it's September 6th, and literally like in 2 weeks, I rebuilt my website. I, created a new freebie. Like I pretty much redid everything with this copywriting slant. September 25th, I got my first client. So it was a pretty quick turnaround.
Yes.
And she was inside one of the courses I was in. So it was somebody that I already knew, but, at least it got my foot in the door, right? To get my first job. And then I ended up, that was, like I said, September 6th. By the end of the year, I'd made almost $40,000.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. It was crazy.
And in your previous fostering job, how much was your yearly cash income?
About 32,000.
Wow. And you had made 40,000 in 3 months. Less, 4 months. Wow. Yeah. Wow. What a reward. What a reward, for trusting yourself and for following your inner guidance and for following, your daughter was the catalyst, like my daughter was for my life, and just really following those breadcrumbs and going all in when you're being called forward. It's really a powerful way to live your life, and it's not always easy, like as we know. But I think when you're following your calling, it just gets to work itself out. If you just stick to it and you go with the flow and you go with emotions and you process your stuff as you're going along, because we all, stuff comes up, and it's so amazing. Thank you for sharing your story. So you're home with your child, with your daughter still, and you got to claim the way you want to live your life and how you want to raise your daughter. And that's radical. You told people, I'm going to have it my way, and you're doing it. So this is the message that I want people to hear, that, no matter what somebody else is telling you, if you want something, you can have it. You get to create that, and the way will come when you stay in integrity with what you value most in your life. And you valued being home with your daughter. And that's such a beautiful story. Thank you so much for sharing. I know maybe there might be people on here who are going to watch the replay that don't know what copy actually is. So share with us what is copy and why is it important?
Yeah, great question. So my favorite definition of copywriting is the art of getting other people to do what you want them to do, but for their reasons.
Yeah.
And I'll unpack that for a minute, because it sounds kind of manipulative, but it's not. And I always say, copywriting is the best skill for your marriage, for parenting, because you get them to do what you want them to do.
Yeah, I think it's even like, if you can tie it in easily to neuro-linguistic programming, because you're using words to create images and feelings in the people that you're speaking to. So,
exactly. And you're tapping into the feelings that they want, right? Like we recognize how they're feeling now, which in copy, we would say, what's the pain point? And then how they want to feel, what's the aspiration? I'll give you a quick example that I often use is with my daughter, that when she was like 3 and 4, she hated having her hair brushed. And it's like every mom of a little girl like struggles with this, or maybe brushing teeth as well.
My little girl has curly hair and she hates her hair getting washed, and we won't go there, but share your trick with me and maybe I can use it.
Mine too has curly hair. So so what I found is that if I just said, it's time to brush your hair, or let's brush your hair, anything like that, it was all these excuses or waterworks or whatever. And so I shifted and I was like, today, would you like an Elsa braid or a Cinderella bun? And just that shift, because she wanted to feel like a princess, wanted to look like a princess. She had some of the princess dresses, of course.
Yes.
That would do it like every time. She'd think about which princess, we'd have Anna braids or even a mermaid braid, which I totally just invented. And made up.
But it landed with her, it landed. Yeah.
Yeah. To this day, that's probably the most common one that she asks for, is a mermaid braid.
Oh,
And
that's so cool.
It got me what I wanted, right? I wanted her hairbrush. I also wanted to style her hair because, as a mom, I was like, oh, it's so fun. But on the flip side, she also got what she wanted, right?
Yes.
She feels pretty. She feels like a princess.
Yeah. But
so
the thing is, sorry to interrupt you. The thing is that she, on the conscious level, didn't know that that's what she wanted until you actually put it on the screen for her to see.
That's such a great point. Yeah, because our clients are like that too.
Yes.
Right. We don't always know what they want.
Yeah.
But we have to figure that out for them.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, you paint this picture, you invoke feelings, which is why story is so important in copywriting.
Okay.
Because if you think about movies and books, what is it that draws us in? It's the story.
Exactly.
It's the emotion. It's the underdog. It's the hero going on that journey that you don't think they're going to make it. And then they all of a sudden do. They all of a sudden achieve that thing. And, we could go really deep into inner and outer transformation, all of that. But from like a really high level, we like those stories. We like seeing the good guy win.
Yeah.
And we want that resulting feeling. So whatever it is that your ideal client's looking for, whether it's, let's say weight as an example, like somebody who wants to lose weight, it's not really about losing weight.
Yeah.
It's about, feeling sexy or feeling like their partner desires them again.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's not interested anymore. And so, they're trying to do something to get that back, that spark of, the honeymoon phase. Right. So it's not about the weight, again, is just like that high level, outer thing that people are going to say they want.
Yes. Yeah.
But really deep down, that's where it's our job as entrepreneurs to really think, okay, what's the deep down desire? Yeah. And ultimately, what we're going to find is that people want to feel better about themselves.
Yeah.
So whatever area you're in, whether you're a business coach, spiritual coach, fitness, whatever problem you solve as an entrepreneur, get down to the layer of they just want to feel better about themselves. Even if we use me as an example with building my business, a lot of that had to do with feeling better about myself because I wanted to be the mom that I wanted to be. I wanted to feel good about raising my daughter from home and not having somebody else raise her.
Yep.
And that at the end of the day, that's me wanting to feel better about myself for how I did things, for the choices I made.
Yeah.
So ultimately, that's what you want to think about, all the layers from the outer transformation of what your people are looking for, all the way down to why and how they want to feel better about themselves.
So is it good for someone to, when they're thinking about the copy that they're writing, maybe for a sales page, is it good for them to have I think you call it a copy bank, like a page where you just write down the things that your client might be feeling, thinking about, doing, spending time on, and then you start writing your copy from that place as if they're right in front of you?
Yep, the copy bank is super important for anything, even social media posts, emails.
Yeah.
Because what you want to get to is where maybe you've experienced this, where somebody's like, I feel like you're in my head.
Yes.
saying what's going on. And that's what you want.
Okay.
We say, enter the conversation that's already going on in their mind, is another way we phrase it. So when you use their words, they're going to be like, oh my goodness, she knows exactly what I'm feeling. Like she gets me. And then they're going to get to know you, like you, trust you so much faster.
Yes.
Because you're using their language. One example, when I was launching my my copywriting course, what I was finding, I had a Facebook group, and so I was asking questions, and one of the questions as they came into the Facebook group was, what's your biggest challenge with copy? And people would say, I want to sell without sounding salesy. Like I would get that response a lot, and salesy isn't even a real word. Like we all use it. It is not in the dictionary. It comes with the little red squiggly line every time I use it, because it's not a real word. But I actually I ended up changing like the headline on the sales page of my course to include that, because I heard it all the time.
Yes.
And that's an example of, it's not a real word, but it was a word that my ideal clients were using. I mainly work with women, and for whatever reason, more women are concerned about not sounding salesy. We don't want to be pushy. But we want to sell, right? So, so that's an example of how a copy bank came in handy. And people have said to me, I feel like you're in my head, you know exactly how I feel. Those kinds of comments help you know that you're on the right track. But in your copy bank, that can be from sales calls that you do. It can be from your interactions with clients. It can be looking, sometimes I'll copy and paste Facebook comments, and I'll just put them
that's
into
a good
my
idea.
copy bank from other people's posts, because I'm like, oh my goodness,
that's so good.
That's like, they phrased it so well, and so I'll pull it off. So you always want to be like your ears and your eyes open to what your ideal people are saying, and then write it down, because you won't remember, and you certainly won't remember it word for word. And that's the key, is exactly how they are phrasing it. And then it makes your job way easier when you sit down to write a post or an email. You just pull out your copy bank and you're like, okay, let me riff on this idea today.
Yeah, you're so right. It does make it so much easier. You can keep your copy bank on your phone, or you can have it on a Google Doc and just like pull it up and write your copy. So cool. Yep. Okay. So how does like messaging come in? Where does messaging come in?
Oh, good question. These two are often confused, messaging and copywriting, and they go hand in hand, but really your messaging needs to come first.
Okay.
And when I'm talking about messaging, I'm talking about kind of like your overall brand message and how you say what you do in 10 words or less. Lots of people take a really long time to explain what they do. You've probably had this experience, like when you're in a conversation with someone and you ask them, oh, what do you do? And then like 10 minutes later, they take a breath and you're still a little confused about what they do. If you ever had that.
Yep.
You're like, okay, I think I understand. But the I help statement is, there's a formula for I help, and then who, and then you would say be, do, or have XYZ, whatever you help your person do. So whether it's lose weight, or get consistent exercise, or build to 10K months, or like whatever result you get your clients, that's the end of your, what I call the one-liner.
Okay.
And the thing about this one line and being able to say what you do in 10 words or less is that you have like one concrete message, one sentence that sums up everything you do. Obviously, we do more than just one thing. Like we're very multidimensional, and especially in coaching, there's so much to it. But if you can distill it down to one thing, people are going to remember. So when they have that one problem, they'll be like, oh, I remember Alexia, I need to reach out to her. Or if they're talking to somebody and somebody else has that problem, they'll refer you. because they can actually remember who you were and what you did, because you didn't take 10 minutes to explain it.
That's so
right?
true.
So
Yes.
that's why messaging is so important, and it really needs to come first before your copywriting. The copy is, like the nitty gritty of social media posts and sales pages and things like that. But if you don't already have your brand message, which to have your brand message, you have to know who you're talking to. And a lot of times people really struggle with that.
Yeah.
And then their messaging is like all over the place, and then their copy's all over the place, and then it's not effective, and then they're frustrated.
Yeah.
So start with the brand message, start with your one-liner. And, part of this too is like having an understanding of your brand values, what you stand for, getting kind of that, again, it's like stepping back and having a bigger idea of like, what's your mission and vision in the world?
I was just going to ask something on that. Like, what if, like, is it possible for women in this field, that their mission or their brand one-liner changes, and how often does it change? Have you seen that happen?
For sure. I've changed mine multiple times as my business has morphed, and it might change when, for example, I still write copy for female entrepreneurs, but I also now train female copywriters to build a business and charge 10K or more for sales pages. So I've shifted, right? So my one-liner, if I'm talking to copywriters, my one-liner is going to be different than if I'm talking to female entrepreneurs and I'm, talking about my done-for-you services. Wow. So yes, you can have multiple, but even, let's take me as an example, because I do have both, because I have two avatars really, with these two branches of my business. But ultimately, my goal and my mission is to help women grow businesses that create a radical impact and influence and income for them. I'm super passionate that more women make more money, because we do a lot of good in the world. And 80% of women-owned businesses never make more than 6 figures a year.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
Pretty significant.
Yes.
Actually, it's 87. It's 80% make 50K or less.
Wow. That's ridiculous.
Right?
I mean, that's like, no.
It's just wrong.
It is.
It's just
we need
wrong.
to change that.
Yeah, it's 87%. So 80% make 50K or less, which is awful. And then 87% make 100K or less a year. Okay. So only 13% are in 6 figures, and only, I think it's 1 to 3% make it to 7 of women. Wow. And we own 40% of businesses, but we bring home 4% of the income.
Wow.
So we're vastly undercharging.
What does that say? What does that say, like, even about our own sense of value and worth?
I think it says
the time is 333 on my side. So I think we're on like just went 334. Yes.
I love it. It's so true. And you've nailed it. I believe it speaks to our lack of confidence in our own value, in our own self-worth, and our, I wouldn't say inability, but our reticence to charge more. And it's interesting working. I have had male clients. It's not like writing, like I can't write copy for men, but it's very interesting to interact with men and how they make decisions in their business and how they price things. They charge way more than women do. And it's interesting. It's just really interesting to watch. You look at our culture and women's rights over the years and how people are like, oh, they have this sort of negative impression of the corporate world and women not getting paid enough. And I'm like, the same thing happens in the entrepreneurial world, and you have total control over what you charge,
yes,
but you don't charge it.
Yeah.
So
So in your business, do you coach your clients to be able to shift like internally around that block? Because it's an internal block around
absolutely
your worthiness. Okay. It's massive. I mean,
it's more about mindset, and we do a lot of shifts in that area, which I love. I'm not teaching them how to be a better copywriter. I'm really teaching confidence, mindset, how to own what you do, and that the worth of our work. And I think maybe that's the thing for women, is that so often we link our worth to what we're charging by the hour or something like that. But really the worth and the value of your work has nothing to do with your own worth. Like, we are each priceless. So I think that's a big struggle for women, where I don't see that with men. Men are just like, I'm going to charge 100K, boom, done. They're just, it's just fascinating. It's been a really interesting journey for myself to be on. And, in copywriting and in affiliate marketing, it's a bunch of bros, there are more women now in copywriting, but we sort of like band together, right? Because there's not a lot of us. And, it's important, number one, to have that community, but to also look at, okay, what are our fellow bro marketers doing that they're getting so much more money? They're getting 10 times what we make. It's
like a whole paradigm shift. It's a whole paradigm shift that gets to happen. I think it's happening. It's happening. Like, we're in it, and
we are. There's a ton of women who are rising up, and that's really my passion, and what I get excited about is and why I do both things, like why I teach copywriters to charge more, and then why I still do done for you copy, because I know that I can put gas on the fire of what they're doing with my words, and then they can just really expand their brand and their influence and all of that. And we need more of that. Like I said, I'm traveling. I'm at this mastermind with 7-figure earners, women. It's all women. And yesterday, we were sharing before and afters, and so many women were like, I had my house repossessed, or I was on welfare, or, just these massive underdog stories of I went from this and now I had a 300K month, or now I just bought my house. Like, women who are rising up and owning their brilliance, owning their value. And it's so exciting. It's so awesome to see. And we get to create more of a ripple effect of that in the world. Absolutely.
Yes. Beautiful. Oh, thanks, Dawn, for sharing that. And I love those stories. And it is possible. It's possible for anybody to make their dreams come true, and to make as much money as they want to, So great sharing, great. And I love the explanation with the messaging. It's basically being on target with who you are, what you do, who you help, and what the result is, right?
And it's going to make you more confident too. Speaking of confidence in women, when you have honed that message down, and you know exactly who you're talking to, and you know what your message is, you're just going to be way more confident. I've seen it time and again. I work with clients on VIP days where we actually create the messaging together. And there's always so many shifts. Like, I'll get messages of, oh my gosh, I just booked 3 high ticket clients, the week after we met, because they're finally, they finally have their message clear. And they're confident about speaking about it. So it's like a double shift, right? Like, they're clear so people understand, but on a deeper level, they're confident. And so they're like freaking unstoppable at that point.
And I mean, they're confident because they've got clarity now. about exactly what it is they do, and it's clear mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and everything is aligned, and then it's like, let's go. It's like you're turning on you're putting I just see like a furnace, and you're like opening up that furnace. It just goes yes, so beautiful. Okay, I know we've gone 40 minutes into our call. Are you still okay with time?
Yeah, I'm
okay
good.
Okay.
It's early, nobody else is up here, so
okay, so like share with me a little bit about, I know you also help people with their funnels. What is a funnel? Why is it important? And what are the pieces that every business should have? And what businesses have funnels? Like, are there businesses that don't have funnels, that they don't need funnels, or is it like anybody can have a funnel?
Oh, I love this question. I love funnels. I geek out a little bit on funnels, so I'll apologize in advance in case I get a little geeky here. No, funnels are great. Every business should have a funnel, and a funnel is just like, don't get stressed out about the word, the name, what it is. Really, all it is that you have a plan and a system in place that takes somebody from being a cold audience, so they don't know you, don't know your solution, all the way to becoming a buyer. So we call it the customer journey. Say is like, what steps do people need to take in order to say yes? That's really all that it is. Funnels in the online world can feel overwhelming and complicated. They don't have to be. And with software these days, ClickFunnels and Lead Pages, like, they've made it so much easier than it was 10 years ago. They have templates and things like that. So really, then you're just changing the words. It's pre-built for you, but basically that system, every business needs to have in place. So you can start either with a free offer at the top. So a free video training or PDF or ebook, or there's all kinds of free things that you could give in exchange for somebody's name and email. So the goal then is getting them on your email list so that you can regularly communicate with them, because you own your email list. You don't own any of your social media platforms, and you don't control which people see your posts how often. So you do control how often you email your list. So I'm a huge proponent of list building, so that you can communicate with your audience. And the way that you do that is offering something of value in exchange for their name and email.
Okay.
The other
That's also called a lead magnet, right? Okay.
Yeah, the lead magnet or a freebie.
Yeah.
And it's literally just a page. It can be on your website or funnel software that invites them to opt in for the free thing, name and email, and then, a thank you page if you want to be super simple about it. Alternately, you could have a paid product like a $7 or a $9 or something at the front end, rather than doing something for free. The key is not giving people too many options. And I know that seems kind of counterintuitive, like Linktree became really popular. But really, when we confuse, we lose our customers. That's something Donald Miller says. And you don't want to give people too many options. The funnel really is meant, if you think of an actual like kitchen funnel, or there's only one way out, right? There's only one way to go down, and you want one path, and you'll need to decide for your ideal client what that looks like. What journey do they need to go on to say yes? And so you don't want like, download this PDF, or opt in here for this video training, or go here for this, or go here for that. Like,
it's too much.
Decide on one thing. And then you could email them and say like, hey, this, if you have a blog post that's like your most popular blog post or something, then do that in your follow-up sequence and say, this is everybody's favorite. Like, why don't you check this out? Keep them on one path, and then make sure. The other big mistake that I see is people think, oh, like, I'll just throw together a lead magnet, and there isn't strategy or thought behind where you want that lead magnet to take them. So you want to work backwards. Ultimately, you want to decide, okay, what is my big offer? And I recommend high ticket. I love high ticket. I think the more people invest in themselves, the more they can actually have a radical transformation. So start there. What are you offering? And then work your way backwards.
Okay.
Like what steps does someone need to take in order to get to the point where they're willing to invest in that big offer, which means your freebie has to somehow relate to the big offer. Like you want it to lead them in, like to give them some quick wins, but to leave them also wanting more. You know, opening your emails, interested in working with you, things like that. So, you know, a lot of times we just sort of throw together a lead magnet because everybody says, you know, build a list, have something for free, you know, and we follow that. But we forget that there's actually a strategy to what people want. So that's my biggest thing on when you lay out your customer journey, when you look at your offer stack, or if you just have one signature offer, that's fine. Just make sure that everything leads to that one thing. So you don't have people, you know, wandering off on these little rabbit side trails, getting lost in your linked tree or something, you know. That's the biggest thing. And yes, every business, whether you're a brick and mortar to, you know, an online coach or anything like that, you should always have a funnel, because the funnel is working for you. It's like having a 24/7 salesperson working for you to get people to know, like, and trust you so that they're ready to buy from you.
So does a funnel work like somebody would opt into your free gift and then they'll get an email with that free gift, or it would pop up on a separate page, and then is there like a sequence of emails that is triggered once they come in, or do you just put them in your big email list and start emailing them what you're emailing every week to everybody? How does, like, what's the difference?
Great question. I always have a nurture sequence, and I do that a lot for my clients as well, is write what we call a nurture sequence, which is the first 5 to 10 days that they're on your list, and you want to be emailing them every day. You want to stay top of mind. You want to over deliver on value. Use video if possible. Like I know when people opt into my list, they get 5 video trainings 5 days in a row that are like 10 minutes or less each.
That's good.
And video is the future. Video is now, really. Like it's just so it's such a strong medium to use to help people know, like, and trust you. So I highly recommend video within your nurture sequence. And then the other thing you mentioned is like broadcast emails or newsletters. So, and depending on you, like I email my list every day, weekdays, so 5 days a week. Some people just do once a week. It doesn't really matter. What matters is your consistency. So the more you email, the more you're going to sell. Ultimately, like the stats just prove that. But if you can only commit to 1 to 2 times a week, you know, don't beat yourself up, just do what you can do. And then you can always build later. But that is like a broadcast to your entire list. That's just sort of like, we call that the ongoing nurture. You know, what you don't want to do is get somebody on your list, you know, they opt into the freebie and you just leave one email like, hey, thanks for getting this. And then 6 months later, you're launching. And then all of a sudden they get this barrage of, and they haven't heard from you in 6 months. Like, nobody likes that. We don't respond to that. So really the idea is that you're nurturing, you're building a relationship year round, so that when you are selling, you know, you're not really selling, you're just giving people an opportunity like you're serving. I see it as serving because our selling is selling a solution to their problem. So you're really just serving them. And it's a disservice to only connect with them when you're trying to sell something to them.
I agree. So then, like, if they're on a 10-day nurture sequence, the new subscribers, do they then pop into the general email list?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then after that, they would just get the regular nurturing.
Okay. It sounds very natural, because like when you meet somebody, if we just take it like in our normal day-to-day lives, and you meet somebody that you really connect with, right? You made a new friend, right? And you're both so excited to meet each other, and there's this connection and an exchange, and there's might be like daily or every second day, messaging, or hey, did you, there's a connection there. And when you meet somebody and you connect with them and they disappear, it's like, you don't feel good. It's the same thing.
Yeah. When they pop up again, you're like, why?
Yeah.
Right? We're skeptical of that.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing.
And, we're savvy now. A lot of people are familiar with the online world. They are familiar with online marketing. They get it. So you need to be genuine. Yeah. That's why your brand and your values are so important, because people care about that. They want to be cared for, and they want to be in a relationship. They want to buy from somebody they know. They don't want to buy from just a company or a brand.
Exactly.
Which is why, we're the face of our brand so often, because that's who is knowable and likable.
Yes. Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love everything you've shared, and I think it's very, very valuable, especially even for first, like, not first, but like early entrepreneurs that are just starting out. I think it's really important for them to have somebody to support them to get that clear one-liner of what they're doing, why they're doing it, who they're helping, and starting that email list right at the beginning, because I know a lot of people, they get into their business and they, like my husband is one of them, and he now is starting to build his email list after he's been in business for a good couple of years, and it's going backwards, right? But if you can start your email list right off the bat and start collecting and owning your email list, that's then in a year or 2 years, you have people that you can connect with and sell to, so it's very, very valuable, the email list. And you're sharing a free gift, your high ticket copy ebook. You want to share a bit more about that?
Yeah. When you download the ebook, you'll get 15 proven copy keys, some of which I hinted at today, for how to, and it works even for low ticket copy, but it's really how to communicate your message. And like I mentioned, when you get on the email list and you download the ebook, you'll also get 5 days of like deep dive, 10 minutes or less videos to go along with the high ticket copy ebook. So you'll get, exactly what you're going to need to communicate in your social media posts, your emails, your sales pages, how to connect with those people, how to use emotion. Like that's one of them. That's one of the copy keys. But you'll get like a deep dive on what it is, a bonus tip, all kinds of good stuff in there.
Okay,
so
good.
Grab a copy of that ebook.
Yay. Good. Okay, thank you so much. And I'm gonna drop in all your connecting, your social media, your website, all your contact details under the comments of our conversation. And I'll share as well a bit on Instagram. I took a little bit of video. I'll tag you, but thank you so much for being here and for spending your time with us. I really, really appreciate you. I love the way you teach. I love the way, I love your journey. I really love your story. And here is wishing more success for you and even more expansion and growth. And I'll see you on the other side. Okay.
All right. Well, thanks so much for having me.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.